All right. I think we're good. Cool. Okay, welcome. This is the regular meeting of the North Whidbey Pool Park and Recreation District Board of Commissioners. I'm calling this meeting to 6:04 p.m. We're going to conduct our roll call. Commissioner Kramer, excuse me. Present. Commissioner Whitmer. Present. Commissioner Hartman. Present. Commissioner Guy. Present. And I am also present. Commissioner Larson. For this will be the last meeting that will have this number 3 on here, the agenda, where it says, does anyone have anything to add to the agenda? Moving forward, I'm not going to give that opportunity at this meeting because when the meeting starts, it's far too late to ask anyone to add anything to the agenda. So for your last chance at taking advantage of it, is there anyone that has anything to add to the agenda at this time? Excellent. All right, so we are now entering the public comment portion of the meeting. The Board of Commissioners welcomes public input on items listed on the agenda, also policies and or issues affecting our district. The board takes this time to listen and consider, but not to comment. Anyone who wishes to comment, please let us know. Please state your name and keep your comment to 3 minutes. Seeing that we have some folks live and in person, I'm guessing that somebody would like to make a public comment.
I'll go first.
Okay, so if you'll just give us your name, and then we'd be happy to hear what you have to say.
My name is Lauren Birch. I'm aware that you have plans to cancel or somehow reduce the master's program. When I moved to Oak Harbor 3 years ago to start a new job, I was surprised that the Oak Harbor pool didn't have a master's swim club. I've been through it several times, called the pool to mention my interest and asked to be put on a list for updates about restarting a master's group. I love swimming and I wanted to make it a regular part of my life, but what really I wanted was the camaraderie and accountability that a master's group provides. The 2 nearest groups are in Anacortes and Freeland, and I picked Freeland, so for 3 days a week for 2.5 years, I left my house at 4:30 a.m. and drove 35 minutes from Oak Harbor to Freeland to swim with the South Whidbey Island Masters. Everyone there told me I was crazy. Why don't you swim in Oak Harbor? I could never do that. I had to tell them that Oak Harbor doesn't have a Masters. I didn't even realize that this Masters group had started until October of last year. And I'm not sure as long as it's been going. My quality of life has dramatically improved since I started swimming here. I get an extra hour of sleep in the morning. I drive 60 fewer miles every day. I spend an hour less sitting in my car, and now I get to swim in a bigger, cleaner pool with a great coach. I can bring a local friend with me now instead of always going by myself, and I'm making new friends at the pool. I live in Oak Harbor, 5 minutes away, and I was really surprised that I hadn't seen this group advertised anywhere. I had to look it up intentionally. This is the biggest city in Island County. It feels like half the U.S. Navy lives here. How can you be struggling for attendance at a swim club in a Navy town? I enjoy having uncrowded lanes, but I strongly suspect that the lack of membership is a product of absurdly high prices and poor outreach, and not a lack of interest. I urge you to reconsider canceling or rolling back the Master Swim program. It's a big part of my life and genuinely the best part of my day. If you need to change things to save money, do what Freeland does. In the pool for Masters an hour before it opens to the public, every lane. Everyone signs a waiver that there will be no lifeguard. Coach takes attendance and the pool charges people's accounts based on that. Admin staff and lifeguards don't work extra hours. You free up the early lap swim time, and more young professionals might be better able to fit it into their schedule before the workday starts. Please consider these alternatives before raising prices or canceling the program. This group is a valuable part of our community that can grow if you give it what it needs.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else for a public comment?
Yeah, mine is really going to be pretty short. I would have liked to have heard actually your arguments for taking away this first before.
And your name is?
Catherine Lebeck, sorry. I live in Harvard. I started going to the master swims because I was interested in it when my friend Lauren started doing it, but at the same time, I live so far away and I do not have a car. So going to Freeland at 1 a.m., I'd actually be leaving much sooner later if I had gone by myself. So that's the reason why I didn't do it. And again, because Warren has a job right after all that kind of stuff, it would be too much of a hassle to ask for. So I didn't do that. I would come in for a lap swim here and there. Here, at some time, it's like, it's so difficult to keep that accountability for yourself. With the Master Swim program, it allows me to be like, hey, I am paying for this. There's someone there that's going to check in on me and ask, hey, how are you doing? What is your progress? All that kind of stuff. And I enjoy that so much. And I enjoy the program. I'm glad I started here. As soon as Lauren suggested it, I asked if I could. And I have enjoyed coming in every single morning, 6 a.m., even though I don't like mornings. I'm in here and I enjoy it. And I, again, don't understand why this program needs to be taken away, basically. And I would have liked to your arguments first before trying to like make a comment that this comment is basically being, please don't take it away. So yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Additional public comment.
I can go. These ladies are much more than I am. So my name is Jennifer Greenwald. I recently started a master's. I'm the newest member. I previously drove to Anacortes for a very short master's. After things opened up, I drove to Freeland 4:30 in the morning to go to master's. And that just was not practical. I didn't understand at the time and don't understand the time right now how the budget cannot possibly manage to have a master's program in towns that are smaller than figure it out. So I'm quite frustrated. I'm also very frustrated that this came up after the levy. So it was waited until after people voted, people rallied support to vote to get money for the pool. And then things were taken from the people that. And I think that's really unfair. And I'm really disappointed. So, budget-wise, I don't understand how it's not financially feasible. We lose 3 lanes. We don't need a lifeguard. We don't need people to check. But if you need to cut costs there. We have a coach that gets paid next to nothing. You can do multiple people paying fees. So I truly don't understand how this can't fit into it. And I'm very, very disappointed that this program is being cut after your biggest supporters helped to get something. You guys have more money to run. So I'm furious. I didn't want to talk. I didn't think I could say it. That's what I say.
Thank you.
Well, I'm speaking for two. My wife Erin is the master, and she had a surgical procedure today, so she can't be here to speak to prepare statements and reading when it came out.
Okay.
But to introduce myself, I'm Mark Gordon. You probably know me in the hospital. I did a lot of hospital school work. And it's rare to have more than one person. So that's a very strong statement right there. In fact, you have multiple people knowing. My wife was an Olympic trials candidate, and she can jump in the pool and show people how to swim. And a lot of coaches don't have. But she's also coached collegiate levels, high school levels, and very extensively. So these people will tell you she can make somebody work. She knows how to put together a workout to high school girls, to the nationals, to the state. Who knows this year? First time to get a chance to work. She dealt with your statement. The Master Swim program started in February 2024. I advocated for this program not because I wanted to coach it, but because a coach swim practice for adults is physically and mentally beneficial for community members. Master Swimming may not be a large program, but it has a very loyal following. The program has been growing, and I believe it will continue to grow. Historically, when there was a dedicated master program at this pool, the number of swimmers always hovered around 10. It would be a shame to cancel one of the few adult exercise programs with a dedicated coach in this area. The program is finally a registered United States Master Swim program, and I have worked to become a certified level 3 coach. Specific documents. The major barrier to increasing participation in this program is always been funds. This is not the first time this has been discussed. The creation of the 10-punch card has helped. The NWPR Master's program is more expensive than any other Master's Swim program in the entire state of Washington. And we live in an area with below average household income. 3 examples of many. Snohomish, average household income $107,000. Master's Swim program $85 for 10 punch. Bellevue, average income $161,000. A 10 punch card is $80. Mercer Island, average income $2,000. 10 punch card is $80. Harbor, average income $72,000. 10 punch card is $134. So we're talking $13.40 per swim per year in a community with less than half community income. The other communities where it's only $8 per swim. And the difference. This represents a huge inequity. And I'm not so big on equity as I am on equality. Equity is where some people have a disadvantage, and we do our best to level the playing field. Here in this town, with an income of $72,000, it's a huge disadvantage. Surrounded with $202,000. They pay $8 per swim. Here with $72,000, they pay $13. And to be the highest in the state is also a record. Income is the easiest way to express the inequity, and I cannot help but think there is a problem with our per lane pricing, which includes the fixed costs of running the pool. The districts could benefit from a financial and energy audit if newly passed. I think one reason she mentions that is that it's just a lot of lighting issues that could be addressed at that point. When there's supposedly a $1,500 loss for the program, it's considered both flexible costs and fixed costs. As people have mentioned, we've got the pool sitting there. Why not put more people in? Some flexible costs in my business include mandates. If I see more people, we have to follow mandates. But the fixed cost in my business is CT scan. It sits there whether people get the CT scan. I can get plenty of people come in and get CT scans in the scanner as well as ER people. The scanner is just being used. It's going to cost us $millions a year whether you use it or not. That's quite a bit a year.
I'm just going to ask you to wrap it up for about 4.5 minutes now.
Thank you. My wife, Erin, she's fought to keep this program for the community, as have many of the busy members of the Master's program. If any of the usual people who advocate alongside me are not here tonight, it is because they, like me, have grown tired of butting their heads against the wall against excessive pricing and general lack of support.
Thank you. I see one more person in the room. Would you care to make a public comment?
Yes. My name is Alan Peterson. We do candidate interviews every year. Last time out. So we do candidate interviews again this year. I'm sure all your seats on the ballot. If you decide that you want to run for election, they run about if you are what you want to do with your decision. Just for background, Voter's Project is a news aggregator education project. You run a website that gets, this year we can get about 6,500 to 7,000 views per month. Share all our posts on Facebook. We have about 1,000 views there months. And we do a monthly or a weekly newsletter. Those are 4 separate editions for 4 parts. All of this is provided for free. No cost to see any of our materials. We monitor 20 different agencies, municipalities. Once, in addition to the state legislators, aggregating information. I have to say that your website is generally more. That really like the fact that something I'm not considered very effective. That's very helpful. Like to see a little more rapid and but I'm glad that you're doing it. So I hope that you'll consider taking part in our project.
Thank you. I'm looking and I don't see anyone else online other than people who are currently in the group. So without any further comments from folks online, and I think everyone in the room here has made their public comments. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for taking the time to be here. This is an important part of the process where we get to hear from folks using the facilities. So we very often do these meetings with just us in the room. So we'd like to hear from you. So thank you again for coming. Thank you for taking the time. You're more than welcome to sit through the rest of this probably hour and a half long meeting, or this might be a time, but we will not address, as I said earlier, we will have discussions about this and we will put out some information, but it's usually not the process in this board or most other publicly elected boards to address public comment at the time that those are made. So that's why I'm giving you the heads up that the rest of the meeting you may find interesting, you may not. You're welcome to stay for the rest of that. But at this point, I'm going to close the public comment portion of the meeting. And thank you again for coming, all of you.
Thank you for checking on my wife, Aaron, and thank you for being here and listening.
It's very good to learn that you're all up for reelection.
Okay. Moving now to item number 5, the consent agenda. We all know what the consent agenda is for, so I'm not going to read it. Is there a motion? Is there anything that anyone would like to pull from the consent agenda to speak about individually first on this? And then do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say and raise your hand. Aye. Passed unanimously. Item number 7, staff reports. And it's got our first presenter here listed as Executive Director Cochran. Are you ready, Jay?
Hello. Excuse me. I have an update for the iPads. In order for Apple to set up the business accounts, they have to verify our business. So we had to go through Duns and Bradstreet, which we actually already have Duns and Bradstreet numbers. In 2021, I had updated with Duns and Bradstreet because we used it for our Navy MWR contract. And at the time we had several different Duns numbers, and there was even a couple that were listed as City of Oak Harbor, but the John Vander Zite Memorial Pool. So I spent a lot of time clearing all that up, and it worked for a good couple years. And then their website seems to have gone through a couple changes, and we don't use the Dun and Bradstreet number anymore for the MWR. That now goes through sam.gov, and it has its own verification process. And so I hadn't checked on it in a while, and I gave the Dun and Bradstreet number that I had to Whidbey Tech, and they confirmed that that was the one that was listed. But there's also somehow a City of Oak Harbor one reverted back, even though we had fixed it before. So I talked with Dun and Bradstreet this week, and he did confirm that I did ask for that in September of 2021 to be updated and fixed. And he's not sure if it's causing a problem with the verification of the Apple business, but he said it could. So he's expediting the resolution, so it should only take about 6 days. But he said that through all the records, everything was there, that it shouldn't be causing a problem, but it could. So I did let Whidbey Tech know that, and we have let the staff know that Apple will be reaching out to verify the business, and we've checked with all the staff, and we haven't gotten anywhere that Apple's actually contacted us, because that is part of their verification process. So Whidbey Tech said that they did get in touch. They emailed me today and said that they did get in touch with Apple again to get the process rolling, but they did say that until that Apple is sometimes difficult to deal with in terms of getting things done quickly. On their end, it would only take them 3 days, but they have to wait for them to verify each of the accounts. So that's the update for the iPads.
So hopefully within 6 days, is that what I'm hearing?
I'm sorry, sir?
Hopefully within about 6 days, is that what I'm hearing, is that they're giving us as the turnaround time for this to be remedied?
That's what Dun & Bradstreet is, to ensure, because one of the requests that I had made to Dun & Bradstreet was to delete all the other ones and just keep one. And at the time, they said that each facility should have a number. And so they kept 2 of ours out of, I think there was like 4 or 5 that we had at the time. And they kept the second one for Clover Valley Park, but Clover Valley Park at the time didn't have an address, so they didn't assign it to it. They just signed it as like the overhead district Brad and Dunn Street number. And that one has since reverted back to the title of City of Oak Harbor. And so this last conversation I had is I told them, I said, well, listen, I tried to get these other ones deleted, but it was your guys' recommendation that we keep one for each one. But now it seems to be causing problems, because whenever you update your website, because this is the 3rd update that they've done to the Dun & Bradstreet website, I said it seems like it causes some problems and reverts back to old information. And he said he didn't think that that was the case, but he thought that maybe they would look at deleting one. And that's the resolution that we're waiting to see. But again, knowing if Apple has actually even reached out to Dun & Bradstreet, he doesn't know that information, the resolution supervisor that I was working with. So he just said it could be a problem, but he's not sure that it is. And so Whidbey Tech just said that they will keep updating us on where they are with Apple Business. So I will pass
Okay,
out
so
those.
So Dun & Bradstreet should be done in 6 days, and then Whidbey Tech is going to be driving Apple.
They've already re-engaged Apple this
Okay.
week.
All right, so we have a plan in place. It's not ideal, but we've got people who are supposed to be doing the work, and hopefully it'll be resolved quickly. All right, well, thanks for that. It's not great, but it's mostly out of our control. I just want to make sure we continue to be the squeaky wheel.
Yes, sir.
You got anything else for us?
We've been doing a lot of communication with Whidbey Island Baseball Club, because they are getting ready to start their season. So they have given us some mower quotes, and they've given us some turfus quotes. I have already purchased 1 batch of turfus. They think they're going to need more. So I have told them it's still within the budget for the Clover Valley Park. So I told them to get me the quotes of everything that they'll think that they'll need for the season. And we will go from there. It looks like the mowers are pretty local that they're looking at, and Mitch has a lot of experience with mowers, being part of parks in the past. So he's reviewing those, and we'll be following up with Tyson and Derek.
Okay. Comment cards. I'm going to ask the board, do we need to read each of these? And you got these packets earlier. Is there anyone that stands out that you want to bring to the attention of the meeting? Okay.
Actually, yes. There was one I had submitted on behalf of a patron. I was in here one day and she had just finished her swim and she was just raving about our staff. She's a double amputee, and she said their assistance with her getting in and out of the pool has been just tremendous. So, much appreciated.
Great. Thanks for that, and for highlighting that. The rest of the comments, I'm glad that we're seeing those. I like those in the packet, so let's keep that up. For those of you who aren't aware, each and every comment card that gets filled out does get printed up and brought to the attention of each and every board member so we can see what our patrons are saying and thinking about their experiences here at our facility. Let's move into the action items review. There's an item here to work with the program committee to look at the program planning sheets. The update says this will be for the February 25th program committee meeting. Is there anyone from the program committee want to talk to that, or do you want to wait?
Sure. We're not going to be able to do them all at one meeting. We'll have to look at each program individually. We did look at, obviously the big one right now, which is, we're going to talk about later. But we'll be looking at the ones that we even believe are making money right now.
Okay.
That was actually February 11th. I think
Oh, yeah,
that's
February
supposed to be the year.
2025.
I don't think, yeah, that's the date.
Okay, and the next one is talking, our next action item is about you, Commissioner Hartman, and the website, and it sounds like you've already begun updating those, and we've got a member of the public who's commenting that our website is actually
Yeah, that's
pretty
all,
decent.
that's all Jay. I
Okay.
haven't even made any suggestions. He's just rolling in.
Okay. All right, so we got the iPad update.
Let me go back to action items real quick.
Sure.
There's one that says Commissioner Crainer can provide the program committee with a proposal for diving board installation that includes cost and process.
Yes, at the last meeting, we talked about this, and because of the insurance and the configuration of the pool, it didn't seem feasible. But the conversation was, we thought that that was something that you were bringing to the table for consideration. So we wanted to do that and then bring the information to the board as far as the actual proposal. What would that take? What's it going to cost? How long is it going to take?
Is there an appetite?
Yeah.
Is there an appetite?
There, okay, this is just the first I'm hearing it. So, okay, I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Does anyone have any question about the camera upgrades, the proposal?
I do. It's not in the simple packet, but in the larger packet. I looked at the entire quote, and I believe it said that we were doing 3 cameras. I thought we decided to do 4. So they're only quoting us for 3 cameras in that quote.
Okay, so I'll adjust that. We can take that as an action item to adjust that, but that shouldn't. The cable and the other items.
Yeah, I don't know how much that changes things.
Adjust the labor, but the labor was the second highest number on that, somewhere in the 2,300 range. So, yeah, if we can get that quote adjusted for that extra camera.
Got it on the action item.
Excellent. And can you speak to the client service specialist coordinator?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
The next item under the camera quote is the client service specialist coordinator, and you have some bullet points down there. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, she's just been doing, unless Julie does, because that person reports directly to Julie.
The only thing I would add to it, I think, looking at it is we had a brief meeting today to go over a marketing calendar to get on our routine for regular promotion of posts and all of our activities.
Okay. Any questions from any of the board about that? Go ahead.
Does she maintain all of the social media stuff?
She's doing the bulk of it. Occasionally, if something needs to go out on a day off, then JR will pop in and take care of it.
Okay, is there anywhere else that we promote district events or activities?
So we'll share them on different Facebook pages, and then depending on the event or activity, we will distribute flyers around town to preschools, daycares, businesses that are willing to hang them.
Okay.
And under the business manager heading, there's quite a number of bullets there. Anything you wanted to highlight? Back to,
The client service.
Okay.
So the topic of conversation around, marketing and advertising for events and programming has come up a lot. I would suggest trying to maybe have a time frame of when we can expect some growth there, because we're still having the same conversation we had. So just to try to propel that forward a little bit more and just give it a boost.
And that was part of the conversation today with a reset. There's been so many moving pieces, and to get back into a normal pattern. And another piece of the conversation when we're discussing marketing is being sure that we're not over marketing. For most of our programs, that's not a huge issue. But for programs that are routinely filling and we're running the wait list and having to turn people away, we want to market those in a manner that people still know they exist and they know they happen, but not to the point where we have way more than we can. So that's part of the process that we're looking through with those marketing strategies.
okay, so maybe for another action item, we just, at our next meeting, just let us know what the plan is moving forward, for the next 60 days after the next meeting. So, action item with, that gives us a plan that has teeth in it.
A good way to put that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna move on, and like I said, thank you for, if you have anything that I breeze over and you want to go back to, we can certainly do that. Facilities maintenance manager isn't here, but this is a pretty comprehensive list of what's going on. Are there any questions or comments about that portion?
Kind of, yes, actually. So I have noticed when I've come in, I know repairs to showers is listed here. Do we have any kind of time frame for completion of that? One thing I've noticed, it's a crapshoot every time you come in, whether a shower is working or not. You have to kind of go between them to figure out which one's going to turn on today. So, kind of curious about if there's a, what does that pathway look like?
So they get fixed as they break down, and the last maintenance assistant was looking at a different way to try and fix them. And then had started on that project and then walked away from it. Originally, Shane's plan was to just kind of fix them as he could, because he has to call in Scotty's to do it. But with the maintenance assistant, that just left, he was sure that he could get them fixed, and so that's what he was planning to do over the shutdown, and then got caught up doing the oh my gosh, the spa floor, and it got knocked off of the list. And so I think Mitch is going to have to revisit calling in Scotty's to refix those. The problem is to refix, the last time that it was quoted to me, it was about $700 per thing to fix it. So Shane really was trying to put it off to see if we got the funding to redo the locker rooms altogether. But I can have Mitch follow up with that.
Yeah, redoing those
I'll put
locker
that
rooms
as
is
an
gonna
action
be,
item.
yeah, that's gonna be a very long-term fix, and I think, having those showers repaired. So yeah, thank you for putting that as an action item, and if as part of that action item during our next meeting again, we can get some kind of estimate that would, time estimate and cost estimate. Okay. Business manager.
Yes, sir. So I included a copy of the full schedule set to start on the 1st. Everything on it is pretty standard for this time of year for us. As high school boys season wraps up, we open up for some early or late afternoon lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays, going into early evening, because we have the space available. Special Olympics typically comes in and uses a couple of lanes on March, May, sometimes into early June. So it's just minor adjustments to that, and then adding back is Saturday of the beach class to give that another shot. We did have an instructor that was able to have availability, and for week to do that.
Anything else you wanted to highlight from this, or is that, I mean, let's see if we can read, but.
Upcoming lifeguard course, we have dates set for that to be right in spring break and starting. It will wrap up. And based on the number of staff that we have coming and going, we got in touch with new lifeguards, and I'll put a plug out there for anyone that might be listening. We really need to adopt these lifeguards with early morning and big time of it. Yeah.
All right, we're to the budget committee discussion. Anyone want to open that? So I will then. We currently don't have a standing budget committee, do we?
No.
Are you watching something else, or are we making you laugh?
No,
Executive director?
because I didn't know what to say about it because I was told to put it on the agenda, but I don't think that you have assigned anybody new to it.
No, but that's why we have this in here now. I do believe that there is a need for a budget committee, and I want to open this to discussion for the rest of the committee members to find out what your thoughts are, commissioners.
So originally,
So give us a second. Go ahead. You had something?
Yeah, so I think I was the last for the budget committee, and I thought it was beneficial if we have a meeting. We probably had one meeting, if I correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really essential to have, if not monthly, a quarterly budget committee meeting to review how we're doing as far as our annual budget, and then also kind of foreseeing any sudden changes to the budget.
I agree. I run 3 different programs with multiple staff, and I'm a budget coverer. Monthly, I'm always looking at where are we and talking to my folks. Okay, we're good, we're not so good, we need to back off. Quarterly sounds good, but I'd like to again hear from the other commissioners what we talked about.
I would actually suggest maybe monthly to get started, see if that continues to be a need.
I would agree with monthly, and I think that there's more than just a budget to look at in the financial realm, because of course we do the budget, but I think that we could absolutely do a check and balance on the entire district's finances, whether it be the budget itself, the expenses, how we're spending money. That's not something that we do at our board meetings, but it could be something that a smaller commission is able to get into the nuts and bolts, as well as salaries too. So more of a finance related thing.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm hearing is we do want to reinstate the budget committee and start it monthly. Get more than just the budget, look at financial health, which I don't think anyone can argue with that. It's a good use of our time and resources. And then that could be a line item in our meetings, where even if it's
Just a report.
yeah, just quick and easy. This is where we are. Unless there is a problem, it's not so quick and easy. How many members would we like to have on this committee?
I would suggest keeping it to 2, so you don't have a quorum.
When I was, this was something that I was considering going ahead and implementing during the last meeting, I actually had considered just moving you and I from the levy committee since we decommissioned it to the committee.
According to our bylaws and the way this should run, as the chair, unless I'm needed on a committee, I'm probably not going to step on any of the committees currently.
I had that same thought too last year.
What are your thoughts about that too? Like I said, I'm not just making these unilateral decisions, but this is
I
been
think
on
that
a number of
I
committees.
think you've got enough on your plate.
That'd be a valuable tiebreaker, right? Which is the intention
And
for
that's
not
the
having
intention
the
of chair,
yeah,
is
yeah.
if you have a committee that needs a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So with me abstaining from that,
So I would actually like to suggest that there is one overlay from the program committee, because those two kind of work together. In the finances and then how we're billing each thing. I think we've come to a good position right now where we know what those numbers need to be. but those numbers are not going to be the same year to year, even month to month. So I think there could be some benefit in having a single carryover person between the two committees.
So as a person who's got to ask the hard questions, would you be that person? Because you are on.
I would, but I would like to come off of the bylaws committee in that case, so I'm not sitting on all of them.
Okay. Who else would like to be on?
I don't have a lot going on now that I'm the chair.
So that's one of the things that I get to do as chair is appoint committee members. So are there any other comments or questions or any other wishes to be on this board? No? All right. So then I will appoint Commissioner Guy and Commissioner Crainer, and you will be our budget committee, meeting monthly until you tell us that you'd rather go quarterly. I am removing Beth from the bylaws committee.
Guy.
Guy.
Oh.
I like this.
He's the best looking guy. He's the best looking guy in the room. And with that, I'm going to have to ask who else would like to be on the bylaws committee. What do we have now? Just.
I'll do it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. No, we're good. I'm good here. I can sit over here by myself.
What other committee? Is that?
Just budget.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm just in program.
Okay, so you're still programmed. You don't have any heartache not being on the bylaws committee. All right, so then Commissioners Hartman and Crainer will now be the new bylaws committee. Thank you all for stepping up and being willing to take on additional time and commitments.
Mm-hmm.
All right, program committee.
Okay, we're going to do the easy stuff first. So the program committee did meet, and I didn't write the date down, but it was 2 weeks ago, I believe. We discussed. We actually had a visitor, a patron came in and talked with us. We talked about water volleyball. The program committee is looking at it for another opportunity for water volleyball at the request of some patrons. Program committee committed to reviewing this around April after some research is done and see how schedule can be adjusted, and then review the finance sheets and stuff. So this is not a board decision. It's just a schedule change because we're not adding or deleting programs unless it becomes we don't meet the income.
Okay.
Quick question. What happened to the volleyball league?
That was just a program.
Water volleyball?
No,
Yeah.
the family one.
Yeah,
It was a one-time.
It just one time. Was it?
Oh, we didn't do that one at all.
Okay.
But water volleyball looks by the numbers to be more than ample. Basically, they're outgrowing their situation, so they're looking to have another session so they can split up a little bit. So that's been a very successful program. Any questions on that before I move on?
No, I was just gonna comment. It looks like it's grown and it's in growth.
So weekend aerobics. If you remember, several months ago, we took weekend aerobics off because it didn't have a very big attendance. That aerobics class was 8 o'clock in the morning, I believe. Right, 8 o'clock in the morning
On Saturday.
on a Saturday morning. It was almost immediately that we started getting comment cards and people approaching commissioners about it. And so through the course of asking some questions, there is a huge interest in the weekend aerobics, maybe not at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. So the program committee did talk about this. We were supportive of having another session. The business manager was able to look at the schedule and also talk with staff and found a spot to put it on Saturdays. We do have an instructor willing to commit, scheduled to start in March. So I think that's going to be later on in the day. 12:10.
With that,
12.
So,
Because we was committed to facilitating that as gym lessons up until.
People go from one right to the.
so being that that's not at 8 o'clock in the morning, we do expect that to be a very useful program.
All right, well, hopefully, we can get the numbers.
The aerobics by itself does have the numbers to support, but we were, the one class at 8 o'clock Saturday morning wasn't doing well. But there are some people that don't want to come after work. So, and that was the main concern. So, any questions on the weekend aerobics?
Good job finding somebody to help facilitate and,
I'm surprised what you can find out in a hot tub. Do you want to do it? Sure. So that brings us to the U.S. Masters Swim Program. And I'm going to read this. The program is currently operating at a $1,500 a month deficit. In August 2024, the program was reviewed and it showed a deficit at that time. However, the board agreed to give it a little more time to see if it could potentially improve the return. The situation has continued to deteriorate. Participation numbers average four patrons per session, and the expenses far exceed the revenue generated by the program. The program committee has several recommendations to mitigate the excessive costs to taxpayers for this individual program. I'm gonna ad lib a little bit to add to that. This being an individual benefit program, we discussed further in this. I will say that the program committee has really taken a deep dive into this, and this really took the most time during our meetings, not just this one, but once before this. Unfortunately, we saw this coming, and I mean, I think we all saw it in August, but then we tried to give it an extra 6 months to see if we could make that work. The comment was made a little bit earlier today about the cost and the budgeting of the cost. We do have several other programs, and all of our programs run on the same cost schedule, the same lane fee. And then we also have levy income. We had a meeting back in September, I think is what it was. Maybe it was October. And we went through line by line on our budget, and we decided what was going to be taxpayer funded, what is levy funded, what what do we call it? Patron funded. And the main focus is having the facility is what our taxpayers are paying for. Having the facility to operate is what our taxpayers are paying for. And this is a multi-million-dollar facility that does take more than $1 million just to have it exist. When we have programs that are individualized, such as swim lessons, aerobics, the volleyball, swim lessons, and master swim, we have gone through those costs and we've determined what costs have to be paid for by those retail costs. And all of these programs fit on the same schedule, and it's a per lane basis. So we have whittled down every possible scenario of how we can make this work. And I've listed 3 scenarios of that we can move forward. And they are these. So scenario 1 is we discontinue the sale of U.S. Masters swim punch cards and memberships and reduce the lane allotment to 1 lane with a discontinue date of 60 days. And then we will refund the remainder of any annual memberships for this purpose, and we will not be refunding punch cards. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is to discontinue immediately and issue prorated refunds for any memberships or punch cards for the master's program. Scenario 3 is the only way that it continues, and it's not good. But that is to reduce the lane allowance to 1 lane, reduce the days per week to 2, and all punch cards immediately, and then end annual membership sales immediately, and then increase the monthly membership fee to $175 per month. And I'd like to just take a moment to explain why all those things are the way they are. Right now, the master's program uses 3 lanes, and the numbers that we have for the payments and the members checking in shows that we are actually seeing 4 members per session on average. That equates to 16 members, 16, I'm sorry. That's not right. So 4 members per session. Is that right, Julie? 4 members per session?
That's what you've written down.
Yeah, that's what I've written down. I just wanted to make sure I was not saying that wrong. 4 members per session, and that is yielding us in the month of January $753. Our expenses for masters is actually $2,516.09. Now, is there a way to cut costs? No, not really. Because if we do that, then we're giving this program taxpayer funding instead of patron funding. I do realize that the coach is not the only thing. Just to address a couple of the comments that were made about the lifeguards, I think we did talk about lifeguards not being present before, and our insurance was not too keen on that. Insurance did?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that might be another conversation.
If it gets that far. But I remember having a conversation too about not having lifeguard swimmers in the pool and the liability for that.
Because Aaron is certified. So there is a lifeguard.
Right now, with the person who's teaching it, yes. But if we're making a policy decision, we have to look at that person is not always going to be a qualified lifeguard. And if we continue this program, what is our insurance liability going to be without having a lifeguard pool? Because that was the question that was raised by the folks who were here earlier. Just to open the building and don't have a lifeguard.
So it's a requirement to be a master's coach. You have to have those credentials. You can't coach without it. It's not really an option as far as that's concerned, but I mean, I definitely see where you guys are coming from, but I have more things that.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So just to open for discussion, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion if that's all right, and then we can open for discussion. If that's the way you want to do it.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I move to discontinue the sale of U.S. Master Swim punch cards and memberships immediately. I further move to reduce the lane allowance to 1 lane. Further move to discontinue the Master Swim program 60 days from today. Further move to issue a prorated refund for any annual memberships remaining at the end of the 60-day sundown period. Daily admissions may continue during the 60-day period.
We have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We'll open this topic up for discussion. Is there anything else that you wanted to preface?
So, yeah, I used the wrong number. So, when we compare, what I just did real quick was I compared our lap swim and our masters, which go on at the same time, and they use the same number of lanes. Our lap swim is actually producing 3 times the number of people. I think it's over 3 times. I didn't do the math yet, but 80 to 238 during the same time period. So
First 12, right? Because it's 3 times a week, or on
it's
average
6 times a week.
6 times a week.
Masters?
No,
Is it not?
no. It's
Oh, it
one
is less
session
than
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? One session Monday, Wednesday, Friday for master swim. And so it's 4 times a week. That's 16.
Okay. So that is 196 versus 238. Okay, so it's not as much. But the swim lessons, or not the swim lessons, the lap swim doesn't pay the coach's fee. I don't know what the answer is. I just can't. I think I'm not doing my job if I'm not holding this to the same standard as everything else. I feel like there's a need for it. I would love to see it continue, but I think it's a great program. I just wish more people would come.
And it's $1,500 a month that we're losing.
That's the average.
So, kind of, I don't even know where to start. we did have the conversation in August about not being a registered facility. We didn't get registered until November. Technically, our master's program has been going for 3 months. So with that, people that are involved in masters, if I go somewhere, I'm going to, and I want to go to masters, I go to US Masters, where's the proof? We weren't there until November. Aside from that, something that they brought up was that the masters wasn't really advertised very much. And I know Commissioner Guy and I had spoken on this. I actually went back through our Facebook to look, and since before it got established, there's been one post about it. And the only post was this January when they said masters will resume on January 6th. That's it. That's all we have. So their point, right? I clearly have a vested interest in it. So I have chosen, when it comes to voting, I will be recusing myself, but I do want to discuss it at least. And I agree with you. I think there is an answer. I'm not sure what it is, but and we're bringing up another point where we're saying that there's an average of 4 members per session. I have never been in masters with less than 6.
So I've heard that from several people, and I actually wonder, are people not signing in properly?
I think that.
And if that's the problem, then they're going to kill their own program. If that's what it is, they're going to end up killing their own program. Because I've heard that there's 6 people in there, but our attendance numbers are not showing that.
I've never been where there's less than that.
And our punch cards are not showing that. So I just did an adding, based on the last 3 months, the revenue for masters has been 2,053. That's not even 1 month of expenses.
Yeah.
So regardless of how this plays out, the punch cards are killing us. Because you can buy a punch card and keep it for 6 to 8 months or a year or 3 years or 10 years.
And I've done it. I'm guilty.
But the problem is that is killing the program.
Yeah.
Whereas we have 138 people on lap swim and they're paying their way all the time. That's making the money. But if we're actually getting 4 people and we're only making $2,000 in 3 months to put all the expenses, we're not making the money. So I would ask that question. I would use that as a retrospective question. Are people signing in properly? Because the numbers that have been quoted and the numbers that are seen there are not showing up.
So another thing is that, say someone's here for a week or 2, we don't have a single drop-in rate. And Jay had mentioned to me before that she had purchased for someone to come in to do a drop-in.
Mm-hmm.
But how much are we possibly losing without having that ability to drop in? And in those situations, is our accounting actually showing that drop in to be master's revenue? I don't know how often it's happening or anything like that, but it just seems like there's so many variables where I think improvements can be made versus pulling.
I agree with you. Improvements could be made, but this is not. We did the 6-month extension on this for that.
But did we involve Master Swim participants during that 6-month extension to be part of the conversation in the program committee?
I believe we had one gentleman, that's how we got the punch card brought to the table, was there was a gentleman who was part of the Master Swims who came in and pleaded for us. And it was partly because he, due to his work, could not commit to a regular schedule, but the punch card would accommodate that. So we said, let's entertain the idea, but that's just one patron,
Right.
and we're trying to accommodate everything else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is always that option that we could vote this down and put it off for another few months. But in doing that, we are now accepting the fact that we're allowing the taxpayers to foot this program again, which we have vowed not to do.
So with that being said, moving forward as a board, as a policy, if we haven't officially had this more than 3 months,
But we've had people participating.
Yeah.
And we've been taking their money.
And the people who've been coming for the last 6 to 8 months, the few, we've had a master's program. We didn't have the certification, but we had the program.
yeah, but it boils down to people weren't finding us to.
But still a program. So just to remind you and recap that, when we discussed the programs, it was always, is this program going to be a profit or a loss? And we always decided that if it's going to be something that we anticipate a loss, then we don't continue with it, because why have a deficit? Who's paying for it? So even if it hasn't been recognized nationally as a master swim, the first 8 months, who pays for the negative deficit? So in August, we already discussed that it was ready almost $10,000.
No, I get it. I get the money aspect of it, but I can genuinely say we have not put everything into it to ensure its success.
I would say that if we're going to vote this down and do another extension, this would be the absolute last situation where I would even consider, and it has to 100% make its profit. I mean, if we're going to raise the price, that's going to push people away. But I would not be willing to entertain another extension beyond this one. And that's it. That's final.
Yeah.
That there's no situation where I could potentially see another extension beyond this. And I think that that's pushing it. And I'm not even sure that at this moment I would go for it, because I think we've already done that and the opportunity was there. We don't coddle the other programs. The other programs are there. There are plenty of swimmers that want to use those lanes that are not available to them. And we're making money hand over fist on last swim. But those lanes are occupied by maybe one person, maybe no person, based on the numbers.
And with the
What are they paying for?
with the motion on the table right now, when we crunch the numbers for the worksheet, we were basing it off on 6 participants. Even that would give us a $28 profit for a program that costs us close to $2,000 a month.
Well, profit is a profit.
Profit is a profit. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So that's literally with the motion.
That's pulling it
involved.
down to 2
Yeah.
lanes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
2 lanes, 6 people.
So the bare minimum, and I think that if what would be more of a persuasive to extend it would be in that little trial period that we have with this motion on the table, if there is a big turnaround on advertising, big turnaround on participants, and there was an increase in revenue and participation, we might entertain opening it again and provide those, just
My
like all
question,
of
though,
them.
is even with an increase in participation and revenue, would we still have to increase the membership fee to break even or make a profit? So say we even doubled to 8 to 10. Say they.
Well, I would say that the punch cards are a detriment to us right now. Our annual memberships are also a detriment to us right now, and that's something we're going to, our plan is to talk about in a future program committee meeting, because that's such a complex issue. Because every time we put this markup on a program, we take it right back off to give a membership. And some of our memberships are using them 7 days a week for all of the different things. So our memberships are costing us money as well. The motion included the monthly membership, and basically what that does is it guarantees the program to receive that money every month. And if people come, they come. If they don't, they don't. But the program receives that money. So, I mean, I think, what was that, option 1?
Option 3 with the month.
Oh, option 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would say, like, I also want to see this program move forward because it's apparent that it's impacting people.
Mhm.
But I would also like to afford the opportunity to that program to say, you know, hey, we exist now. You know, like they also have to take ownership in their program. So if they're going to see that increase, you know, if the pool's going to have
that program open, they have to put in the effort also to say, hey, we exist, we're here, so like the onus isn't only on the district to put out that advertising. So I would say that, like Commissioner Guy, I would entertain this, extension like one more time, pulling the program back, right? So it's not as much of a deficit for the next few months while we're entertaining it, and really see what kind of energy that program can put into enhancing their membership. As well, like just working in tandem with the district. So like, I feel like, yes, the district could do better at advertising the program, but also the folks that participate in the program, like it's obvious that they're very passionate about it. So let's get that passion out into the community as well, and increase awareness so that we can bring those costs down. Because right now we can't afford to bring those costs down, right? But if we get more people to participate, we will be able to afford to bring those costs down. And that's a conversation that I think we need to have at a later time. Right. So like cost of the program has to come second to attendance of the program. So right now, if we want to extend, then we need to really focus on that attendance, right? Utilizing the space.
Yeah.
And then, so I mean,
I'm a data person. We run the numbers. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the folks who pay for this facility. I know a lot of people have an idea, these folks are very passionate and they have an idea about, our costs versus other areas and cost of living and average median income. That doesn't tell the story. An average median income, that's lower, but with a much smaller tax base. It's not about equity. It's about where are we getting our money and how are we affording, what are our costs and what is our tax base? That's the bottom line. The other comments that were made about that they're not happy with the $134. And so one of the only other options to continue this program is to bump the membership up $175. And according to the
And that's one lane twice a week.
Yeah, and according to the folks that were here, that's going to be double what they could get this service for elsewhere.
Yeah, and the makeup masters, it's not feasible to do more than 2 people at a time.
So,
but if we're averaging 4 participants per session, then 2 lanes is perfect.
I think there's a discrepancy there.
I've never seen only 4.
Then I also think that it's the onus of either the program or the district to be taking attendance the appropriate way and charging these programs the appropriate way. Because if we are not charging these programs the appropriate way, then we're not working on the data that we need to be making these decisions.
And I don't think we have it.
Why has it been like that for the last 6 months? I think is the question.
That's the question I've been asking.
So if and Jay or Julie, you guys might be able to answer this. If the average participation for Master Swim is 4 per session, but people are saying that there are more than 4 per session for Masters, what is the next step in figuring out how patrons are being billed for what programs are coming in? Like, are folks coming in and paying for lap swim and bolstering that program, but actually participating in Masters? How are we tracking that?
So I got checked in with Erin the first time it was brought up in a board meeting that people were saying that the numbers were much higher. And the numbers that Erin gave me correlated directly with what we were seeing from our reports. I checked in with her prior to our program committee meeting, and she said she was averaging 4 to maybe 8 on a good day. So she had it pegged as that 4 as part of that average currently as well, which is where I think Commissioner Guy got that number from that. Something we could look at doing would be to put in a system where they have to register for each session they're attending through the reservation system, like we do for Laxman. That would help bolster that.
I think that would be appropriate because it sounds to me for the last 6 months we haven't been accurately tracking that. So if we're just going off of the coach's word saying,
So let's say,
Well, I'm sorry.
yeah,
So she's concurring with what our system is saying, because what should be happening is when they come in, they say, hey, I'm here for masters, we flip their name and we deduct the punch.
Okay.
So that's where those numbers are coming from that we see, and then when I questioned her, she is telling me the same.
Okay.
But you're saying our system is showing a definite average of 4, and she's saying there's an average of 4 to 8.
she said a 4, but 8 on a good day, which means that that's not the norm.
Right, but then that wouldn't make 4 the average either.
So even if 6 was the average, we'd be losing a significant amount of money.
Right.
But she's not also responsible for checking in, like, are you here for masters?
Right.
So she just assumes that
Right.
you're in her lane,
Then
you
you're-
signed up correctly.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
And so they could be lap swimmers in the master's lane.
correct.
Can we implement an audit? We do an audit?
I think that would be really up to her. Like, you know, if it would be feasible for her, because she ultimately, as the coach, she would be the one that would be verifying that the people who are there.
I would go back to my previous statement. If you're signing in the wrong way, you're going to kill your own program.
Is there any further discussion? Oh, we have,
There's the motion that's on the table contradicts itself. So we need to modify the motion before we vote on it. Because it says discontinue sales immediately, and then it says discontinue sales for 60 days, you know, with the sundown period of 60 days.
Wait, hold on. That's for memberships. Is that not what I said?
Punch cards and memberships.
Punch cards and memberships.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that there is a daily entry fee. Did I get that wrong?
We do not really.
Oh.
That's what I'm
okay.
saying. You can't come
Okay.
in for a single session.
So I
at
was
all.
mistaken on that. I thought we talked about there is a daily entry fee. So if we don't have a daily entry fee, then we're basically discontinuing in that. And we're using up punch cards and memberships that still exist.
So, and another thing that when we were talking about the punch cards originally, I brought up maybe doing like a 5-visit punch card. What if somebody wanted to try it?
I think this is a little late to be asking those questions.
Well, we also did,
I have been asking.
we did look at the numbers of the program committee. There was a discussion on the 5 versus 10, and 10 was the best. I believe, Julie, it's like 15% gift discount just to do the 10. Anything more than that would just be not cost effective.
But what I'm saying is, if you are taking the option off of the table, anyone to come and try it, you are possibly losing a lot of membership there.
How many people would you anticipate wanting to try? Because if we make this change for one, we do 5 punch cards for one activity. Now we have to understand, is it a blanket for all the other programs for this too?
Well,
And it can't be 15%.
and I'm not talking about a discount. What I'm saying is like, there should also be an option, just like flat swim, open swim, aerobics, volleyball. You can literally walk to the front desk, give them cash, and go in. Why this is an exemption, I don't quite understand. But there's really no way to measure what that costs.
It's just like if we had basketball in the program committee. Do I want to do basketball practice for one day? Can I just pay for that one day?
Well, Master Swim is in a season.
But it's just the same concept of how program committees with the worksheet is, are we just doing a one-time trial? Is it cost effective to do a one-time trial? Or do we need to have someone commit to it? And I see it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people like
Actually,
her
a
friend would
secondary
say,
motion, whether we figure out if it's going or staying.
Yeah.
Because
So I'm going to ask you then, as a point of order, because we got to the point where we were going to vote and then we had some more discussion. But, and we can continue the discussion, but I would like some clarity on what the amended motion is going to sound like. Is there someone who wants to amend the motion, or would you like to amend your own Commissioner Guy?
I'm willing to amend it. I just need to write it down.
And then we can continue the discussion, but I want some clarity on what we're discussing. So when it comes to a vote.
So this is the get rid of it. That's what we're doing, because that's what Wait, that motion doesn't, oh, I'm looking at the wrong one, never mind, I'm sorry. Which words and memberships today? So it actually just removes the last page, the last line
About daily admission.
about daily admission. So that gives people the opportunity to use their memberships and punch cards while they still exist, but no sales. Okay, so I would like to amend my motion. My amended motion is, I move to discontinue the sale of U.S. Masters Swim punch cards and memberships immediately. I further move to reduce the lane allowance to 1 lane. Further move to discontinue the Master Swim program 60 days from today. Further move to issue a prorated refund for any annual memberships remaining at the end of the 60 days.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll have time right now for additional discussion. It's a new amended motion. Any further discussion?
I do. Does the motion, should that include the increase membership to 175 per month?
Because we're
We're
not.
not selling anything
Yeah.
else on this one.
I just would like to talk about it in 2 months. You know, when the program is discontinued, just to see if we're making the right decision in 60 days, or if the program does a complete 180 in 60 or within that 60-day period. I'd like there to be an option for us to discuss the program further in 2 months.
So in our April meeting, we can certainly discuss it, but if we adopt this motion, we're saying that, so when, at the April meeting, we can make a new motion and we can reinstate.
Yeah.
But what I want to make clear is that by adopting this motion, we're saying unless something changes radically, and unless we change something in the next 2 meetings, that at the 60 days, this program Sundance.
Yes.
But we've also stopped selling.
Do you have a question?
Well, that's fine, because in May, if like,
We've not given anybody an opportunity to join the program.
right.
We haven't given an opportunity to grow.
It's not gonna grow.
But we could potentially have an increase in our numbers for the ones who aren't.
Table.
But it doesn't increase revenue.
Right, because that would just increase their attendance. Could we instate a daily rate? Or like, I'm sorry, not a daily rate, a drop-in rate? So like, what is a punch card is 134 for 10 swims? What if we did 1340 for a drop-in rate and they,
15% off.
okay, what if we did a 15? Yeah.
Because that's 15% off the punch card.
Yeah.
So you have to go
So
up.
it'd be
So what if we did a daily, a drop-in rate? What if we, in this motion, institute for the next 16 days, a $15 drop-in rate for folks that want to participate while the program is sundowning?
The only comment I have about that is the people who are advocating for this program are saying that 1340 rate is way too high already. I don't think they're, based on their own discussion, are going to want to continue to.
I think our choice right now is to either get rid of it or give it an extension.
And I think that the only way we can give it an extension is if we open the opportunity for people who aren't currently using the program to use it.
I agree with you.
And if $15 is too much now, understanding that with increased attendance in this program coming back, there's potential for the cost to be lowered in the future, then like that has to be a short-term sacrifice that they're willing to make for this program. And it's almost a good faith effort for commissioners, for us to see that this program can succeed if people are willing to pay for it, pay more for it in the 60-day period, and then we can rediscuss reestablishing a master swim program after the program's done.
So in the the third thing that I read, the reduce the lane allowance of 1 lane, I crossed it out. We can manipulate these numbers to offset the loss there. But if we were going to give it a chance to succeed, we could manipulate some things. If we take it from 6 days a week, it's 4 days a week down to 2 days a week, for example, we are cutting our costs in half.
Mhm.
We're cutting the cost of the program in half. And then we're almost forcing people to say, this is the day you got to come to do this master's thing.
Mhm.
So that increases our attendance.
And that's my point here is like, this is the price you have to pay for now
Mm-hmm.
to, and that'll show, like I said, it shows the commissioners that they want this program.
There's a need.
Yeah. Like right now, what we're seeing is there's no need for the program. And obviously people are very upset about that. The people that use the program are very upset about that. I think this is the only way to meet in the middle.
And I want to address that. We have 4 people who are very upset. We have a $1,500 monthly deficit.
Right.
Are we going to be data driven or are we going to be emotion driven?
I want to be data driven, but at the same time, I see some value in this program.
And
That's where I'm at
And
right
I'm
now.
not against the program. I see value in the program too.
I don't even participate in it, and I do see value in it, and I see value for the district as a whole having this program. But I can't see the taxpayers paying for it.
And that's it,
If we're not doing that on other things.
But I think,
I do have 2 questions when you're done.
I was just trying to.
I don't know. I wrote it down because I was like,
Yeah. No,
you're a good thought.
So I think that this is really the only feasible way that we can meet in the, right? We send down the program and we explicitly state that this program is going away, right? But we also give it the opportunity. I know we've tried to give it the opportunity, or we've had an effort maybe trying to give it the opportunity, but I don't know that that effort was shown by the district and by the program. Like, I don't think the program really realized that they were on the chopping block, right? Until this month. Even though 6 months ago we said, hey, this program's going to be on the chopping block for 6 months, right? So I want to give that opportunity for growth, but also make it known, yes, we can't sustain this program at where it's at right now. And that's,
So if we go that direction, I think we need to take this vote, see how it plays out, and then if it goes down, then we do another motion.
Commissioner Whitmer had a couple of things.
So one of the reasons why we postponed it to February was because in August, we were notified that the last annual membership was expiring. Has there been any purchases since August for any membership? No. So we currently have no memberships as tomorrow.
We have no annual memberships.
You're sharing a couple of sales for memberships in
But not for
February.
masters, right? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at the monthly memberships for masters. Month to date when we received this was 194.
But not annual.
Not annual, they were monthly memberships.
So we don't have any more annual. So we could really ideally take that option off of the board. The other question was, is there a way to identify which one is the busiest date? If we're cutting it from 4 days to 2 days, we'd rather maximize which one is the most used and do those days versus picking a day that no one really attends.
right.
Monday, Wednesday.
Well, and I think that would be on the onus of the district,
Yeah, we
the
don't have.
staff,
we don't have to-
right?
No, I just want to make sure that
Give the
numbers.
guidance to
Yeah.
the staff.
Yeah.
And you said Monday, Wednesday?
Monday, Wednesdays are, in my experience, have been busy.
So just guidance for Jay and Julie to consider. The other one is, instead of possibly for the motion, instead of saying to support kind of what Melissa was saying, instead of saying discontinue from 60 days, that we might just reevaluate in April. Because in April, our Board of Commissioners meeting, then we can either decide it's going to end because the numbers have not worked in March and mid-April versus it just dies down.
My thought on that is this is the conversation phase.
Yeah.
Are we just having a conversation and we're gonna kick this can down the road for 2 months? Or are we saying, this is the plan, this is the motion, and unless it changes, we can take different action before then. But this is the direction that this is going in because of the way this program is going.
And
So- I don't want to say, let's just change the motion to we'll reevaluate again, because that's what what we're doing is we're giving another extension, and I'm not in favor of extension.
So here's the thing, and this is where my bigger concern is. We have US Master Swim, we had rugby that was a failure, and we had the family volleyball. I saw one post about rugby, and I saw one post about family volleyball. Our marketing of our own programs is actually killing us.
Except the ones that aren't dying.
The ones that are like bright and bold and posted all over the place, yeah, those are doing great. They really are. Day camps marketed really well. The Shamrock swim that we're going to be doing has been marketed more this week than Masters ever. So we have to do our diligence as a district too to get the word out. Because we can't just start programs and expect people to know. I don't see every post on Facebook. That's how algorithms work. You don't see them. I mean,
Any other discussion before I call for a vote?
can I move to like amend the motion? Is that
Depends on how you're amending it.
just adding the opportunity so adding a $15 daily rate? Or drop-in rate, not daily rate.
That was my initial intention, so I would say, please amend.
Okay, so I move to discontinue sales of US Master Swim punch cards and memberships immediately, except for drop-in rates at $15 per session. I further move to reduce the lane allowance to 2 lanes.
If it has any chance.
To 2 lanes. I further move to discontinue the Master Swim program 60 days from today. And I further move to issue a prorated refund for any annual membership remaining at the end of the 60-day sundown period.
A second.
A motion and a second on the amended motion, or have an amendment to the motion and a second on the amended motion. Any further discussion? All in favor of the amended motion, raise your hand or say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Four ayes. Any nays? Is that an abstention? We have 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Motion carries. I know that was painful. This was not an easy process. This was not an easy discussion.
So before we close out the program committee, we'll just say that we'll go ahead and look at this again in the March meeting, just so we're looking at it every time.
I appreciate that.
Item 9A, pizza with the board commissioners' dates. We have 2 possible dates here. I know we all spoke about this. I want to hear your thoughts on the dates, but then I also have a thought that I wanted to throw out about the entire event in itself. Anyone has a preference?
I'm not available on the 16th, and the 19th would be hard because Easter is on the 20th. Just have a consideration of like stats.
I'm leaving the day after the 30th. I would like to do it that day.
The day after the what?
23rd sounds good to me.
I have volleyball commitments. And usually Sundays is no good. Yeah, the 23rd, I'm going to be out of town.
I'm okay with the 26th of April. So.
26th of April, I'll be out of town.
I was thinking about Sunday dinner, so I meant to say it.
I can make the 30th work if that works for other people.
Sunday the 30th.
I think I make the 30th work.
You make the 30th work.
I can make the 30th.
You can make the 30th work.
So are we looking, what are you requesting? one day
I'm looking
or?
for a day that is gonna work for everyone, that we are immediately limited, like 4 of them. So, right now, the 30th seems like it's the only one that would work for all.
Sorry, guys, volleyball's taking me out of town.
No, that's okay. But that's why I'm glad we have options and we're having this discussion, because I would like us all to be able to be there. So, so it sounds like Sunday, March 30th at 6 p.m. And I want to say, because this wasn't official yet, but I know it was kicked around as who should be there. If you are employed by this district, you should be here. This is pizza with the board. And so all staff, I think, should be invited. Do we have any,
All employee staff.
anyone who gets a paycheck?
No, just want to clarify, because, just so I'm clear, is it a volunteer or is it?
This is just employees.
I, no. Because reasons. Which I know makes no sense. I think that it should be, without management.
I understand that, and I don't agree.
That's fair.
Other thoughts on management versus no management at this staff?
I see a benefit to both,
Yeah.
and maybe in a future session, we could do it without management. But we need to take care of everybody right now, in my opinion. But I also see the benefit in doing one without management.
I mean, the whole
This
purpose
is our
is
first
just
one.
showing our faces. Everybody knows us. This is who we are.
Okay, so with management.
Yeah, I think it's everybody, yeah.
And it'll be on Saturday, March 30th at 6 p.m.
Here,
Here.
right?
Yeah.
Here, okay. Sunday, March
Sunday.
30th. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, do we actually really need a motion for this?
No,
I don't think so. It's in here, but I don't think we need.
I think an action item though, Julie,
Yeah.
sorry, Jay, is to make sure the word gets out that the board's buying pizza
Yeah, we're paying for this.
for staff.
I will get it posted in-house and on your group chat. And as you guys are doing that, we will need to ensure that there are vegetarian, vegan, and free options.
Action or an item.
Can you add that to your action item, Jay? Just make sure that, the board knows about dietary restrictions as well.
Abbreviation.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so that closes out item 9A. On to 9B, survey question review. Commissioner Hartman.
Jay sent me, some, like a couple of examples of some really involved surveys. And I guess I wonder at this point, the page that I was on was that this is something much like the comment cards that just lives forever, and whoever wants to pick one up and take it will, like, and then give the board their opinion. So it's like a comment card, but it's comments that staff don't see, only board sees, right? So the questions that I put on here are like guiding kind of what kind of policy decisions would you like made in board meetings that affect your use of the district. The surveys that Jay sent me are more like needs assessments, or like, full-blown evaluations to do strategic planning. So I think that what we need to do as a board is decide what's the purpose of this survey.
Very next question.
And then we can hone in on like the questions.
So do it.
Sweet. To open for discussion, please. Because obviously I was on a different page.
So, you mentioned that this was not for the staff to see. I have this vision of what could possibly happen, and I think what it would be is we have a client service specialist sitting at the desk, twiddling their thumbs, which they don't do because they're always working 100% all the time. And they look across the room and they say, there's a QR code right there. I'm going to scan that because I've had this idea, but I'm afraid to bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a forum that they know that it's not going to their supervisor. They're not going to get in trouble. It's just free. It's there. It's not something that they have to fill out and turn in, or nobody's going to know that they did it. But it's just a free thing. This is an idea because the greatest ideas come from the youngest people. They just don't know how to implement them.
Right.
So my question still is which was also your question, what is the goal of this survey? What are we trying to do?
Be better.
Well, identify goals, just kind of like how our workshop was discussing. What is our goals? How can we expand the district?
Yeah.
Are we just doing
When was the last time we had a strategic plan?
Yeah. Really identifying what the need is and how we can expand out of aquatics programs. Basketball has been pretty set. Volleyball is gaining momentum. But what other areas can we do? We have
We're
Gaga
talking
ball.
about everybody.
I always
Okay,
forget
everybody.
So we have that. We got it as a grant. I don't think a lot of people know that there's a Gaga ball here, and that's huge, especially in the scouting community. So, what other ways can we advertise and expand?
If this is not to be adverse to the staff by any means, but I'm gonna address the elephant that I'm putting in the room. We, as the commissioners, we read a packet of papers. We get the information that's provided by the executive staff. We don't get feedback from every staff member. We get it from the executive staff. We are provided with documents that we are being told. Our communication is filtered. Let's just. And I'm not saying that there's any malice in that. I'm not saying that there's any ill intent, but it couldn't hurt us to know more.
So I think in the spirit of not over surveying our population, we need to figure out now whether we want to do kind of a needs assessment and a strategic plan. Like, is that what our goal is? Or do we want a way for, and the answer is both. What do we want more? Do we want a way for staff and community members to tell us what they want and to see what we can drive in our programs and policies? Mm-hmm. Or do we want a strategic plan? Like which one like all of us in the room need to be on the same page on what is going to be the priority.
I think those are two separate things.
They are.
And I think the quick and easier one is to get the regular input. To do a strategic plan input, I think that would take a concerted effort. I mean, if we're going to do it right, and it should be like a week long, there should be billboards, there should be information on, and it should be a concerted effort to get input.
Yeah.
And that's going to take some time.
Yeah.
So from my 2 cents, I mean, we did these in the city every year when I was in the city council. Yeah.
And so that's the example that Jay sent is a community engagement survey that drives a vision or a strategic plan.
Right. And our regular patrons who are coming in on a regular basis over the course of a week or two, however long we decide to have that open, will be excellent purveyors of that information.
Right.
But the quick and dirty survey that we're talking about for staff or coming in and out with a quick QR code, that we can probably get. We just got to find out what are the data points.
Right. And I think the only way we could come up with. I just came back from a training based around program evaluation. And I think the only way that we're going to get to this QR code that people can answer, questions and give us their opinions and stuff is if we have a vision, a mission, we do, and a strategic plan, right? We have measures set forth, indicators that we can put on paper and say, this is where we are. And our goal is to be here. Help us to get there by answering these questions or like providing your input, So this is easier. Yes. The QR code that's available to everybody is easier, but I think it's worth it to get a strategic plan. So what is the goal of what we're doing right now? Do we want what Jay wants and to do a full-on community engagement survey and build our this is the landscape of Northwood Pool Park and Rec? Or do we want engagement from patrons and staff and community members?
I would like the engagement just because when you think about it, strategic plans allows us to have a goal and a vision.
Mm-hmm.
We're all new commissioners with evidence of change in leadership. So had it been, there was a strategic plan in place, the three of you commissioners who joined and appointed last year, it would have been easy for you to pick up and say, hey, at the end of this year, this is what we're going to be accomplishing. When we joined as commissioners, we kind of had that guidance, but again, there was still not, our end goal was the levy had to pass. So that was when we got appointed and elected, that was our end goal. But for you and whoever the commissioners are at the next election period would be, what is the goal and how are we moving it forward to the next board to continue to lead? And, there's a lot of ideas, but I just think just having a general idea of what is the need and what's the gaps, going back to our workshop, identifying what strengths and concerns.
Having a strategic plan or not having a strategic plan, having one is going to make us more successful. Us not having one at times to me has felt a little chaotic. I don't know where I'm going, don't know what I'm doing, don't know where to look, don't know how to find it, don't see, so it's just led to a lot more questions. And while those engagement surveys like that are super beneficial, you're going to get more information from a community member with something like this. I think just point blank, just give me here's a few questions, just give me your ideas.
Could we not start one place and move to another?
We absolutely could.
Yeah.
That's
could
what
develop the questions too. As we get information, the questions could be developed from that information.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what my question was, is like,
Start
where
simple.
do we want to live?
Start
Okay.
simple.
Do we want to, okay.
Fine, see what we get back.
And I think you're right. I think the questions that people are going to give us, or the answers to those quick questions, are going to give us an idea of how we guide the discussion about the strategic plan.
Okay. So now that we've tackled that, do we have suggestions, edits? What do we think about these questions that I've presented to the board for the QR code survey?
I just open-ended questions. Are we doing like all the ones that?
No, yeah, it's open-ended. I just was going to have a free text box.
No, like this, I think it kind of covers all the bases. What are the negatives? What are the positives? What do you want to see? How can we help you?
And I was going to leave all answers optional, so you don't have to answer all the questions. You could just answer the one that you want to answer and submit it to the board. My vision is that these surveys, when they're submitted, would go to all 5 of us in real time. So like if we're hosting in a Survey Monkey, for instance, and it just stays live, somebody would put their answer in there. I want to see more teddy bears in the pool. Submit. All 5 of us get that at the same time.
Are these the only 5 questions we're looking at?
These are the only questions that I came up with. Yeah.
Okay.
There's an opportunity.
Yeah. I really like the first 3. I've got a problem with the last 2 because the 4th one is a yes or no question. If the answer is no, then the 5th one is moot.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it could be the same question. Is there a reason you can't use a particular program?
But if they say no, there isn't a reason.
Right.
Then which program and why? Well, no, there isn't a reason I can't use a particular program.
Right. And that's why it's open, and they don't have to answer. Or like I said, it could be the same line. So it could be 5 questions.
Mine is
Like anything else you want to offer?
That's the last question.
Oh yeah, it just didn't align right.
Oh, there sure is. Look at that.
Yeah.
So which program and why belongs on the same line?
For number one, I just would like to see it more isolated. Like, for instance, in the last 3 months, which of these following programs have you participated in? And then throw in master swim, throw in lane swim, lap swim, different ways to do it. Or I was just a spectator. I don't know how many people should just spectate, but yeah, I'm a parent. I go to the pool. We have that. That actually is a good discussion because that at one point that was on the table of why
Are they on the deck or
yeah.
are they in the room? Yeah.
So, but I think it would be a better visual because when people are like, oh, what programs have you done in the last 3 months or the last year? Just having a better time frame of what we've done and see. And that also gives us the data of is swim lessons like the biggest one that we're getting as a pool versus lap swim. You know, we had that January numbers too, so it'll be cute, interesting to see how they reflect on each other.
Okay. And then would you be opposed to me listing all the programs with the select all that apply option and then having an other box? So in case that I'm missing something?
Makes it easier for them. All right, so you're just gonna revisit those and.
Yeah, I'll send a draft survey before next month's meeting.
Excellent.
Okay.
Can you put a little blurb just says of a, like, you know, we always welcome public comment. If we have something that's more urgent than the survey timeframe, please attend our next meeting.
Yeah.
Just that would also encourage just more community participation in our meeting.
Yeah.
With a link to the meeting page.
Sure. Jay, can you make sure that that's an action item for me, please?
I only caught every couple of words. Can you restate it?
Just for me to present a draft survey to the board at our next regular meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion on item 9B before we move on? All right, 10 Alpha, Springbrook Agreement.
This is just the outline of what the contract would look like with them and the timeline. This is the accounting software that we discussed in the budgeting process that is consistent with Washington State local government bars and numbers to streamline it and hopefully get the financial reporting method in place that Commissioner Guy will like better than the current. Yeah.
Okay.
Does this wipe out QuickBooks?
It would.
Okay.
And the timeline I had requested was a timeline that would allow me to close out the 2024 year fully in QuickBooks before we made that switch. And this is consistent with that.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I move that we approve quote number Q 36261-1 for the Springbrook accounting software as presented.
I have right here a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the adoption of the Springbrook Agreement? All in favor? Raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Item 10B, donation request. Executive Director, I think this is listed as your presentation.
Yes, it's just all right there. Occasionally, the board gets requests for donations for certain auctions, school auctions, and that's what this is for a school in Coopville. So you have both the email there from the original asker, and she had left a voicemail, and I said, we can present that to the board. Just send me an email with the relevant information, and that's how you have the information before you. In the past, the board has done this under advertisement as promotion.
Thank you. And I'm sure you guys all read in the packet the letter and the flyer from Catherine Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our presentation. You have the information.
Is there a recommended donation from the staff?
Yeah, historically, what are we looking at for prior donations?
We've done. Sorry, I'm getting feedback. We've done swim lessons before. We've also done like free open swim passes. I tend to think the open swim passes might generate more people coming in the door, because a swim lesson only, gets one person in the door, but that's really up to the board.
So like an open swim package, how many would we throw in there?
Well, you could throw in as many as you wanted. If you wanted to do, like, say, 10 individual open swim passes, they could either auction them out as 10 separate or a packet of 10 where they could bring 10 people.
How much is one? Jake,
How much is one?
I'm sorry, I'm getting feedback.
How much is an open swim pass?
It's $6 for non-residents and $5 for residents.
So
it'd be $6.
10 would be $50 to $60 donation.
I'm just thinking about how many auctions we've gone to. Are they going to get every supporting organization that actually gets?
So I have a really big concern about donating our constituents' taxpayer dollars to outside of the district.
I shared that concern also, and but I think I was offset by the advertising that this could potentially.
Because they still, the potential for them to use the district is still there.
Yeah.
My kids up here.
Listen, my niece goes to this preschool. I love this preschool.
And by doing it as advertising, I think that's where we're meeting that goal.
Yeah. In light of the conversation we just had.
I know, I understand. I thought about it too immediately. That was my initial thought. This is out of district.
Yeah.
Then I would charge people. We would do the value at
the out of district,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
how we should treat it.
Yeah. And that's how my mind immediately went to, the out of district rate would be the value of, that's coming out of the advertising budget.
I had asked my best friend about what the demographic makeup was, and she said about 1 in 4 students are actually work with the students. There are still some. It's not exclusively to so there is some. I just wanted to be mindful of it. Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
Remind me how much that out of district cost?
$6.
$6.
$6 for that
Yeah,
one?
so I think 20 and it could be,
So 20 passes or 2 passes?
$20
for
20 passes, right? Broken up by 2, so it's 2 option amounts. So there's 2 10 pass,
Okay.
Yeah.
So a total value of $120.
Yes. Okay. I move that we approve the donation of 2 10 pass open swim passes to the Coopville Preschool's auction in support of their fundraising efforts. This donation will also serve as an opportunity to advertise our programs and encourage participation from local community.
Second.
Motion and a second.
May I make an amendment to that?
Certainly.
Instead of Coopville Preschool, it's Central would be something.
Yeah.
The third one.
I'm just going to say CWCP. WCPs.
Okay, that's fine. Because it's not Coopville Preschool.
You're right.
So that's an amended motion. Do I have a second on the amended?
Second.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented and amended, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, item 10C is listed as mine, and it's about the agenda and standing rules. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is the deadline for adding agenda items. We want the packets to us by Friday before the meeting. I think that it's reasonable to say the day before that by noon, so the Thursday before the meeting. At noon would be a reasonable deadline to have our agenda items into staff so that they have 24 hours to generate the agenda and packet. Discussions on that? Heartaches, questions? Okay. Addition to the standing rules. This is something that I think I want to table to our next meeting. This meeting is going really long, but what I would like us to do is, as individual commissioners, bring ideas, what we would like to see added to the standing rules. That's part of why we had that workshop today, is because our standing rules really need to be fleshed out. So if there's items that you know that you'd like some more guidance on, or like us to have some more, less ambiguity and more straightforward instruction on, whatever your hot button issues are, bring it to the table so that we can further this discussion next week. I'm sure we could have a robust discussion on this right now, but like I said, we're already at 8 o'clock and I want to be mindful of our time. So I am going to, can I make a motion as the chair? I think I can.
I'll let you.
Yeah, you can make a motion.
I am going to move that we add a deadline to the standing rules for agenda items the Thursday before the meeting at noon.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay. Executive session. The governing body may hold executive sessions from which the public may be excluded for those purposes set forth in RCW 42.30.110. We will be convening an executive session. Answering that here, no action will be taken in the executive session. We will be entering this executive session to review the performance of a public employee for 15 minutes till 8:16. If we needed additional time, we will come out and we will inform those in attendance and record it. So we will now convene our executive session.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were going to go in this other room. No, that's
Ma'am.
I'm on, so you can call.
Okay, I am recalling, the regular session of our meeting at 8:16. No decisions were made and no action was taken during our executive session discussion. That brings us to the action item review, and there were many. So let's make sure we're all on the same page with our action items are moving forward.
Jay, don't talk yet because you're muted.
Action item,
You're good.
the camera quote only had 3 cameras and you wanted 4. You should have already received the updated quote in your emails. There was an action item about the next 60 days of marketing. I didn't catch the whole thing of that though.
I just put a note update on marketing plan.
Yeah, at our next meeting, we want to know what the plan is for the 60 days following for marketing.
Okay. Mitch follow up with shower repairs and timeline and cost estimates. For the April meeting, put masters on agenda for discussion. Figure out the 2 busiest days of masters. Make sure BOC knows dietary restrictions for the Sunday, March 30th, 6 p.m. all staff meeting. Present, Commissioner Hartman will present a draft survey to the board at the next regular meeting and have agenda items to staff by noon on the Thursday before the meeting.
That sounds comprehensive.
And then you had said something in the very beginning of the meeting, Commissioner Larson, about take off number 3 from the blue sheets.
Yes. So
Do
yeah, we're
you
going to
want
remove that. Yeah.
Is that an action item?
That is an action item.
Okay.
We will note that it was accomplished by its absence.
Okay.
Okay. At the time for final board comments. Nothing?
Yeah, actually, because I wasn't here last time, I just wanted to say thank you guys for bearing with me, the past several months as chair, as I learned and fumbled my way through. I appreciate it. And it was an honor, and I'm happy to see you there.
Anyone else? All right. I just want to thank you all for everything. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of difficult discussions, a lot of time. I tried to have my first meeting as chair be 2 hours or less, and I failed. We'll see what we can do moving forward.
Come on, Larson.
Our next meeting will be March 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. right here at the pool. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
You don't need a motion. You're the chair.
So
I motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Boom.